Oh my gosh, have you been to Marshall's lately? They have all the brand name and designer pieces you love, but without the jaw-dropping price tags. All right, so here's the truth. You should never have to compromise between quality and price. And at Marshall's, you don't have to. Marshall's believes everyone deserves access to the good stuff. And that's why their buyers hustle around the clock to make it happen for you. Visit a Marshall's store near you or shop online at marshalls.com.
If you thought goldenly breaded McDonald's chicken couldn't get more golden, think Golder. Because new sweet and smoky special edition gold sauce is here. Made for your chicken favorites. At participating McDonald's for a limited time.
Today's episode is sponsored by I Know What You Did Last Summer. Get it now on digital. When 5 friends inadvertently cause a deadly car accident, they cover up their involvement and make a pact to keep it a secret rather than face the consequences. A year later, their past comes back to haunt them, and they're forced to confront a horrifying truth. Someone knows what they did last summer and is hell-bent on revenge. As one by one, the friends are stalked by a killer, they discover this happened before. So they turn to 2 survivors of the legendary Southport Massacre of 1997 for help. Starring Madeline Klein, Chase Sue Wonders, Jonah Hauer King with Freddie Prinze Jr. and Jennifer Love Hewitt. I Know What You Did Last Summer is a perfect summer slasher, says Jordan Cruciolo of NPR. Your summer is not over yet. Don't miss a killer movie night at home.
Okay, Trace, we've got The Strangers Chapter 2 coming out this week, so we thought it might be an ideal time to open up that Patreon vault.
Yes, everyone, and we are going to be looking at the first chapter in Rennie Harlin's The Strangers trilogy. So, in case you didn't know, that is The Strangers Chapter 1, a movie that made quite a bit of money, but no one seemed to like.
Yeah, and then of course it's undergone a bit of a retooling because purportedly the ending, i.e. the reveal of who the strangers are, was leaked online, shades of many Scream films, so they did some reshoots, which is why it has been more than a year since we got that last film.
Oh, man, remember when we thought we were going to get all these in like the span of like a 12-month period?
Yes, you'll hear us talk about it in the episode, folks, but we totally thought this was going to be like an extended Fear Street trilogy from Netflix, where it'd be like, okay, every 3 months we're just going to get a new Strangers film. So I don't know. I don't know how well this episode will have aged because of those reshoots, but we spent a lot of time speculating about where the rest of the trilogy could go.
We sure did. And of course, we will be getting that Chapter 2 pretty soon.
Yes.
So maybe, we're still in September, but maybe y'all should look at our Patreon schedule for October when it comes out.
Yes, indeed. No spoilers or anything, but I mean, you had to know.
You had to
want
know.
to see what happens, right?
Exactly. But because we are talking about this, in the present day, and this episode's in the past, we're going to go through some of our housekeeping right now before we start the episode, Joe.
Indeed we are, yes.
So yes, everyone, for this month's programming, please head to our Patreon for extra content, and if you subscribe today, you will get 422 hours of Patreon content, including this month's new episodes on Cry Wolf, The Long Walk, Him, The Conjuring Last Rites, and to tie in with that release, a brand new audio commentary on The Conjuring 2. And as we are wrapping up September, we will also be wrapping up our next entry into our requel tier. So yes, the requel tier of our Patreon, if you subscribe today, you will get individual episode-by-episode recaps of Noah Hawley's Alien Earth TV show, as well as the entire second season of The Last of Us. So yeah, that's a lot of us talking about TV.
It is a lot of us talking about TV. That's basically what the requel tier is, just in case you didn't really know, folks. But yes, at the end of this month, it'll go dark for a little bit as Trace and I plot our next move. But as we said, lots of content. You could have listened to this episode last year when it first came out, and it is a full-length episode. We do that fairly frequently. So it's another kind of selling feature of the Patreon.
I will also say that patrons also get advanced access to some things. So whenever we decide to do a little bonus episode for the main feed, we always drop it on the Patreon first.
That is true. Yeah. We're pushing hard just because, we want you to get a taste of it, which is what you're going to hear in this episode. But Trace, I think we've stalled long enough. We've sold the Patreon hard enough. So why don't we just say where we're going to go next week, and then we can let people enjoy this episode on The Strangers Chapter 1.
Well, Joe, we are going to take a brief sojourn from hardcore horror, or just explicit horror, and we're going to be doing something a little bit darkly comedic with a look at Gus Van Sant's 1995 masterpiece, To Die For.
Indeed, yes. This is a film that we are both very fond of, so it's very exciting. And also, queer director. Queer sensibilities, I would argue, too. But we'll have to wait until next week to find out. So until next week, everyone, we are preemptively crossing out The Strangers Chapter 1. There we go.
Slashers, huh? What's your favorite scary movie?
Not that one.
And welcome back to Horror Queers. It's your Patreon full-length episode, and I'm Joe.
And I'm Trace, and we are discussing 1/3 of a movie today in Rennie Harlin's The Strangers Chapter 1.
Yes, the trilogy begins, Trace.
It really does. But hey, that's the thing though. Do we want to call this a trilogy? Because we know that this is basically just one long-ass script that they chopped into three pieces. But so I walked out of this like, yeah, I get all the complaints, and I kind of agree with a lot of them, but at the same time, I don't even feel like I can properly judge this movie because it's not a complete movie.
Yes, I completely agree with you. I actually think that's where the crux of our conversation for this episode is going to take place because, we can start this off like we usually do. Would we recommend this? Are we going to remember it? But the reality is that I think this film and the way we receive it, the way we talk about it is going to be completely recontextualized the minute that Chapter 2 and then Chapter 3 drops. So in some ways, I'm like, I think that the conversation about how the film got made and what it represents and how people are talking and engaging with it is actually more interesting than the film itself.
I would agree with that. So, okay, well, let's go through with it then. Would you recommend this first third of a movie?
Yes. The short answer is yes. I'm not going to lie. I do think that this is a bit of a bland first entry. If this was a standalone, I would probably have very different thoughts.
Right.
But the reality is, everybody, shut the fuck up. You know that you're going to watch this. You know you're going to revisit it before Chapter 2 comes out, and then probably rewatch it again before Chapter 3 comes out. So I get the complaints, but everyone wanting to act like this movie is the worst piece of shit we've seen all year, stop it.
Oh, I know. Night Swim came out just 3 months ago. Babies.
We have forgotten Night Swim. We have forgotten Imaginary.
Okay, so I'm cooler on this film than you are. I was waffling between a 2 and a 2.5 out of 5.
Okay.
I am slightly recommending this, if only because I agree. Like, it's all right. So I walked in with very low expectations for this movie because the way that the dog piling was happening with this, I was expecting like one of the biggest pieces of shit ever. I didn't get that. I was expecting something like the Cabin Fever remake, and I don't know if you're familiar with that movie, Joe, but basically like in that movie, they took Eli Roth's script, condensed it, removed the humor, and just reshot it with a new director. That is a 1-star remake for me. This, I kind of walked out being like, this kind of felt like a mid-tier Platinum Dunes remake from the mid-2000s for me. Like it's not on the same level as like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but it's kind of like in that The Hitcher area where I'm like, yeah, it's fine. Like we're just kind of repeating a lot of the same beats of that original film, albeit I would argue less effectively. But I don't think this is a complete like a dearth of creativity, you know?
No, yeah, and I appreciate your Cabin Fever reference. I personally can't weigh in because I haven't seen the remake, but you've told me all about it. We've had offline conversations. I was looking at this as a bit of an Exorcist believer kind of situation where it's like, we've got this really well-established IP. We want to bring it back. We're going to try to do something different, but also not.
Yeah.
And then, is it worthwhile? And I think the reality is that for a lot of folks, this isn't worth going to the movie theaters for. And that's probably fine because we live in a day and age where half of you are probably listening to this by the time it's already out on PVOD.
I was going to say, right? Like, it's probably going to be out in like 2 weeks.
It is. It's a full 17-day window, which means by the time you're hearing this, 100% it comes out like this Friday.
Jesus Christ. Okay. But I mean, like, I don't know. I was also expecting like a shot for shot remake because everyone kept saying, oh, it's the same movie, but worse. And I was like, okay, I mean, it does kind of hit a lot of the same plot beats, but this isn't
it's not the same
movie.
No.
I mean, and we'll talk about the plot beats. I mean, you know, as soon as like innocent person accidentally gets killed, I was like, where's Dennis? Like, why isn't he in this movie?
Mm-hmm.
But you know, this to me was like, hey, let's take the premise of The Strangers. We will change up the dynamic of the couple. Maybe throw in a little bit of that Wrong Turn remake because I was getting a lot of that from the townspeople.
Oh, it's very rural horror. I've got a lot to say about that for
100%. So I mean, to me, I was like, yeah, this is an interesting experiment, but we just haven't seen the end of it. So I am intrigued to see where this goes. Like, I will be in the theater for Chapter 2 and Chapter 3.
Well, sure.
But yeah, this kind of felt like, hey, children who weren't alive when the original came out, you know, just, 17 years ago, 16 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
Here's a fresh start, and then we're going to kind of do our own thing from there.
Oh,
there we go.
Literally that. I have seen so many old, cranky contemporaries of ours being like, I can't believe they're remaking this movie. And folks, I feel that. But also, I don't think that this is a movie for us. I think that this is literally a movie for people who have not seen the original Strangers, and we're all doing ourselves a disservice by comparing it to Bertino's original. Yes, he's still involved. Yes, he drafted the story on which the screenplay is written, but at the same time, just saying, oh, well, how does it stack up to the original? It's a losing game. Like, we're already starting at a disadvantage if we initiate the conversation with that. You have to treat the film as its own thing, even while I recognize that objectively that's impossible to do. But I do really think that by casting Madeline Pesh in this, like, we are going after the Riverdale crew.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, those are the people that we're trying to sell this movie to. This is not for people in their 30s.
No, it's not. And you know what? And that's fine, because I'm hoping that then the sequels are for the people in their 30s. But one thing I found very ironic, I guess, is the number of people that were like, oh my god, these main characters make the stupidest decisions. They are so unlikable because they make these stupid decisions. And I was like, that's exactly what people were saying about the original film 16 years ago. And now we're defending it like, you know, because this new one's out.
Oh my god, the nostalgia glasses. We love to put on these goggles and just be like, they were so much better in the other one. It's like, folks, that's just your Strangers. This is a new generation Strangers, and you got to be okay with that.
I was alive in 2008. I double featured the original Strangers with Sex and the City because they came out the same weekend. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you, every fucking person who did not like that movie talked about how horrible the decisions were made by the characters, how stupid they were. And I'm just like, okay, whatever.
Here's the thing. I don't even think these characters behave all that stupidly in this movie. There were maybe one or two points where I thought, ooh, I don't know, you maybe want to reconsider that. But I think overall, these two principals are likable. They're interesting enough. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Our boy, Froy Gutierrez, queer representation in this film.
Yeah.
Not my favorite character, but I think Pesh's Maya, I think she's got the solid underpinnings of a great final girl in the making.
I think underpinnings are there. Yeah, I don't love the way these characters are written. I mean, like the big change, like from like just in terms of the setup here, you know, is that, oh, they're not like coming from a failed proposal or a rejected proposal. Like, they are super in love. And I gotta say, I found it really obnoxious for that first act where I was like, oh my god, y'all just shut up. but that's fine. Love. But you know, but that's fine. It wasn't necessarily bad for me. I was just kind of like, oh my god, like, this dialogue is so cheesy. Like, but whatever. That to me is like, okay, that's the experiment. You know, we're changing the dynamic immediately. These characters now. Does it make you care more about them? I don't know. I don't.
I think it's just different, to be honest. Like,
exactly.
I did see a bunch of people, including, bloody editor John Squire, saying, oh, by removing that central tension within the couple immediately just makes it harder to invest in them. It makes it less interesting from a narrative point of view. I don't know that I agree. I really just think that it's a little bit different.
Yeah, I don't think it makes it less interesting. I do prefer the dynamic in the original just because I do think that is just, it's something you don't see
unique.
in horror
Yeah.
very often. Yeah. And it's almost like in media res, like they have just come from a fight, so we're kind of in the thick of it with them. Whereas with this one, it's like, oh no, they're just a couple in love. So I do think it's less interesting, but I don't necessarily think that makes it less good or less compelling. If the original didn't exist, we wouldn't be having that conversation.
Just that. And I feel like so many of the gripes do stem from that situation of, oh, well, would we be saying this if we didn't have the original?
And so I'm kind of in the mindset where it's like, no, like we have to treat this as its own thing. However, I don't necessarily disagree that it's hard to do that when the film does keep reminding you of the original, although not as often as I expected based on some of the critiques I was seeing. But again, I slight recommend. Will I remember this? I have absolutely no idea, honestly. Like, ask me again when chapter 2 comes out. But this is a flat down the middle 2.5 out of 5 for me.
Yeah. And you know what? We're going to talk about the things that do and don't work within the actual plot of the film. But for me, I mean, I got out of this. I watched it with former guest Lindsay Travis, and we ended up going for lunch and fully had a 90-minute conversation about the movie and comparisons to the original and where we think it could go and, potential Easter eggs and all these sorts of things. I just think that this is a fascinating little oddity. Like, I've got at the bottom of our notes that we should talk a little bit about it as a comparison piece to Fear Street, right?
Sure.
But the reality is that we knew we were getting 3 Fear Streets, but they were always only going to Netflix, and they were always going to be 2 weeks apart, compared to this, which was, okay, if the first Strangers tanks, will we still get 2 and 3 in theaters? And what is the timeline going to be between entries, right? Like, because they only just announced the second one's going to be coming out in the fall. But even that, it's like, are we talking 4 months? Are we talking 6 months? Is it going to be successful? I have no fucking idea. But I do love the idea that we can go in and be like, oh, well, that was a piece of garbage. But guess what? We know for sure that 2 and 3 are going to come down the pike because they have already fucking made these movies. And that just, it makes it a really exciting enterprise for me.
No, I agree. Like, I'm interested to see what this is going to be like box office wise. And honestly, we don't have to worry about really this, at least the second one not going to theaters, because baby, this movie made all its money back opening weekend.
This is true, yes. So folks, in case you didn't know, they did shoot all 3 films concurrently over the period of 52 days in Slovakia. And the budget on this first film was 8.5, and it's already made all of that money back with an opening weekend of 12 million.
Yeah, and I mean, look, obviously it's going to drop a lot, I'm assuming, in its second weekend.
But like a stone.
But it's going to make enough to at least double its production budget, which honestly, that's good enough. And I do think, here's the thing, I think that because we're getting the sequel so soon, because I think we're going to get the second one, I'm going to say September at the latest.
I'm going to say September, October. Like, I can definitely see them trying to capitalize on Halloween.
I could as well. But the reason I'm thinking September is because I'm thinking for sure, we're doing January horror for Chapter 3. Or maybe February if we want to do like a Valentine's Day tie-in for it. Maybe they're going to try to do that. Nevertheless, I actually think that I do think the sequels are actually going to make more money because I think the episodic like eventness of it all is going to bring people back to theaters or more people to theaters once they start watching the first one on VOD.
Just that. And all of these naysayers who are complaining about this being the absolute worst film of the year, blah, 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 I guarantee you butts in seats for this Chapter 2 entry because they're going to want to know, oh, you don't have the first film to fall back on anymore, so what are you going to do that's different?
Yeah.
Guarantee it.
And so I think Chapter 2 is going to be the real test here to see, like, is it going to make more money than Chapter 1 opening weekend because so many people watched it on VOD and they want to, like, see it before it like everyone else does. I don't know, but I think it's an interesting release strategy, and I'm kind of here for it, even if this first chapter isn't like, the definitive remake of The Strangers that I was hoping we would get.
Yeah, like if anything, I just wish that the film was a little bit more exciting. I am higher on this film than you are. I don't think it's amazing, but, this is somewhere between about a 3.5,
Sure.
because ultimately, I also think that Rennie Harlan is kind of back, baby.
I'm not completely there yet, but I did he got a rise out of me a handful of times in this movie. And I mean,
like a half mass is what you're saying?
A half mass, yes. I was never like full, because I think his best suspense isn't something like Cliffhanger,
Okay.
Like, I love Deep Blue Sea. I love Nightmare on Elm Street 4. I love Die Hard 2. But I think in terms of, like, when I think of Rennie Harlan and suspense, I think about Cliffhanger a lot. And
right.
There were some times here where I was like, okay, cool, like the suspense is there. But then there were other times where I was like, oh, you're not going for suspense at all. You're just kind of going for the jump scare, which is fine. I think I was kind of hoping for more of the suspense Harlan than the boo jump scare Harlan.
Yeah, I found it interesting because we had just watched Mindhunters, and I'm going to take this opportunity to correct myself, because I did say that he was from Amsterdam, and I was gently corrected. He's definitely Finnish, so oopsie, my bad.
Okay.
But I wonder, Trace, how much of that do you think is him versus the screenplay by Alan R. Cohen and Alan Friedland, which is weird, because these two apparently have a long career on King of the Hill, which I think I knew, but also did not process until I was doing research for this episode.
I mean, it doesn't exactly scream like, you guys should be doing The Strangers. No, I do think this is really a Harlan thing, because just even with the crawl space sequence in general, like, we don't get, unless I missed it, but we don't get a hint that there's a nail on the floor of that crawl space until she actually impales her hand on it.
Right.
And that's one of those examples like, oh, like, we could have played with that maybe a little bit more, like, just to do something like that. So to me, that's Harlan being like, no, we're just going to have this happen instead of like tease the audience a bit. There was less playfulness here than I was kind of hoping for. But again, I think it's competently directed. I think it's competently shot, actually.
Yeah.
I was just hoping for a little bit more playfulness with like kind of the fucking with the audienceness of it.
Yeah. I guess I'm still leaning a little bit towards some of this is screenplay where it's very, okay, well, could this be a big set piece, or are we going to try to do something a little bit more exciting? And I do think a couple of these pieces work. It's just overall, a lot of it, as you suggested, is pretty traditional jump scares. And I'm wondering if that's the way this first film is going to go, and maybe we're going to shake it up when we get to the second film, but I don't know.
And mind you, I'm not even saying the jump scares are a problem for me. I just think that they lean more on jump scares than suspense. But like, I spilled an entire glass of wine at one of these jump scares whenever they first get in the truck, and like when I think it's the scare. We're calling him the Scarecrow Man now. But when he breaks the window, and I was holding a glass of wine, and boy oh boy, did my entire body jerk, and I just threw that wine like on the floor by accident.
I mean, that's a pretty ringing endorsement. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. I mean, I think some of the jump scares are effective. And I think they're better than when we're not calling back like the original film. I mean, because we'll go through some of the set pieces and plot points here beat by beat, but like. Okay, so, the iconic poster shot of the original film, where it's Liv Tyler standing there and then there's Scarecrow Man behind her. We do that here, but we change it where it's like, we see his reflection in the mirror above the piano. I actually thought that was a pretty cool thing. I was like, I like that. We're not going to repeat it. I kind of wish it made, like, the reveal might have been a little bit different, but it was kind of one of those things where you see him in the foreground first and then you see his reflection in the mirror. So that's something that I thought was fun.
Yeah. And it's little moments like that, which I think for me get me excited about where we could go, because there's flashes of this. There's flourishes of it. I don't think that they're sustained. I was hoping for a little bit more creeping dread and suspense. You're right. Yeah. And what we do get is a little bit more conventional jump scares, but I did find that they were working for me. Like, I don't think the film is particularly scary, but there's enough here to get me excited for a subsequent entry, particularly if it means I'm not going to go into it being able to anticipate where it's going to go because it is so faithful to the original.
And I think that's where your Exorcist Believer comparison comes in, because yes, I mean, I gave Exorcist Believer a 2 out of 5. This is a 2.5 out of 5, but I'm less bothered by this one's genericness than I am, because we're remaking The Strangers and we don't know where it's going yet. So again, ask me once Chapter 3 comes out how I feel about it as a whole, and maybe my opinion will lower or increase. I don't know.
Sure.
But with The Exorcist Believer, we're doing a sequel, like a fucking legacy sequel to a 50-year-old film, and we woofed it. So, like, that made me angrier than, we're redoing The Strangers and it's just fine.
Right. Yeah. And it's not like we had a clear map because we've already scrapped the sequel to The Exorcist Believer because that one didn't work. So this one is such a unique situation because we can speculate and half of our ideas will be completely garbage by the time the second one comes out because we'll be proven wrong. But we get to spend the interim between each successive film hypothesizing about what could be. And yeah, I just think that's really exciting in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I totally agree. But okay, so why don't we start going through this film? Because we do have this cold open with some rando getting hunted down.
Right, but at least we're not doing an in media res.
We're not doing in media res, no, but this is very much a, hey, there's going to be horror later, y'all. Even though you're in a movie called The Strangers Chapter 1 and you know what you're in for. But there will be violence.
There will be violence, but this is curiously bloodless, right? Because we do watch this guy, I want to call him Jeff, but I can't remember. But, he's running through the woods. He ends up getting trapped by the three strangers. And then we essentially see him get killed off screen.
Yeah, but I did like the way this was shot because we think it's just one of them chasing him. So if you have no idea what The Strangers is, maybe this is a big reveal too, where it's because the way we reveal that there's more of them right as the the camera moves and the tree hides the kill itself, I was like, all right, cool, that's kind of neat, I'm into it.
Yeah I mean, well, three of them are visible on the poster, but obviously you're going into this and it's like, okay, well, do they always kill together or is it just this one situation? And here it's revealed to be, okay, yeah, they hunt in a pack.
Sure. But we do seem to be centralized around this location, though. Joe, wouldn't it be funny if if chapter 2 was set in a trailer park and Madeline Pesh meets up with some family who is there taking their daughter to boarding school?
Here's the thing. I would be down for it, but also I feel like we really are going to move away from not just the original, but also Pray at Night. Yeah. Folks, we do have episodes on both of these, so you can hear our extended thoughts on both of the original titles. But I love that we're doing little gentle homages to Pray at Night in this film.
Well, that's the thing. To me, this film's vibe is more in line with Pray at Night than the original Strangers.
Okay.
But it was nice to see a bunch of people going on the defense of Pray at Night during the weekend of this film's release. Right, yes.
Nothing quite like a quote-unquote inferior remake to make the sequel enthusiasts come out.
Yeah. To be fair, we are sequel enthusiasts for that film, but yes.
This is true. Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so we open with Maya and her boyfriend Brian, and they are on a road trip on their 5th anniversary before she potentially moves to Portland for a new job.
I do love this, though, because the movie starts and it's like, somewhere in Oregon, and 2 minutes later we're just pulling into the town of Venus, and it's like, okay, I guess we're in Venus, Oregon. Yes. Important to note, it's their 5th dating anniversary because he has not put a ring on it yet.
And I'm not gonna lie, considering their ages, I feel as though we're supposed to read these two as late, mid to late 20s.
Yeah, I would
And
say
the
so.
idea that they've been together for 5 years and he hasn't proposed is a little, hey dude, what are you waiting for?
That's heteronormative because my husband and I waited 6 years before we got married.
Well, that's a gay thing. Yeah.
Well, nevertheless, no matter what I think about this, the diner folk in this town think that is quite odd.
Question. So before we pull off to the diner, which is Carol's diner, by the way, we do get into a near car accident. This, to me, was one of those, I guess we need to have something exciting happen to our central couple early in the film. And I wasn't quite sure why.
Yeah, we don't meet whoever's yelling at them in the car, but this feels like, that person might be coming back in a later film.
Okay.
There's a lot going on with these townsfolk. Again, we have Richard Brake as the sheriff in this movie, and he's barely in it, but it's okay, he's gonna come back in one of these sequels. That's the thing where I think we're laying the foundation with this town, but we're not really doing anything with it until 2 or maybe even chapter 3.
Yeah. I mean, it would be one thing if we saw these people and they were all no-name actors, but the fact that we see Richard fucking Brake, he's going to come back because you're not going to cast him for a 1-minute cameo in this one film.
I mean, okay, do you think the whole town's in on it? Because I kind of think they are.
Okay, so this was a lot of the conversation that I had with Lindsay, because these diner scenes, and then later on when Ryan comes back and he gets dinner for them from the trailer sort of outpost, it very much seems like, okay, is this an old generation versus a young kid generation thing, or is it everyone in town is in on this? Because I do think that the film is very deliberate about not showing who is in on things, even up to the end of the film, where we hear police sirens coming to the Airbnb, but we never actually see whether or not the sheriff is like, oh, what a surprise, dead body.
Exactly. Oh my God. We also forgot like the big character trait for Ryan.
Oh my God.
He has asthma.
Okay, so this... I literally groaned in the theater. I was like, no, we're not doing an inhaler thing. This is not mid-2000s. Although...
I at least like that it exists just to get him out of the house to go back to the car to get it. It's not like, it's a moment of panic and he's hyperventilating and he's going to die or something. Like, it's a Scream 5 scenario. It's just a reason to get them somewhere at least. So for that, I appreciate it.
I mean, we do technically have an asthma attack when he goes into the woods, but he doesn't have the inhaler with him then, so he ends up having to use a crumpled up plastic bottle.
You know what? That's fine. He's resourceful.
That's fine. But yes, I definitely did not love the inhaler bit. But I do like this couple. You know, she's very perky, she's sassy, she seems much more in control. He seems a little hot-headed, a little bit stubborn, but I thought it was very interesting that even from their initial introduction in the car, she has a job, she has a future, and he drives? Like, we know nothing about this guy. It feels like the film immediately tipping its hat saying, well, you know which one of these two is going to die, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that is a screenplay issue right there, because, again, his only discernible characteristic is he has asthma.
Yes, and he likes her, but not enough to propose.
Yeah, which I guess that's meant to be the inversion, right? Oh, instead of like a failed proposal, it's like, oh no, he just doesn't want to propose, which, again, could have started off on a more... aggressive beat, but I like the fact that they're still happy with each other. I like the fact that that's the one big difference with this couple.
Sure, yeah, it's a minor difference. It's a way of distinguishing these two from the original counterparts. Yeah. Okay, so we stop off at Carol's diner, and the other issue is not just that they're not married, Trace. It's that Maya is a vegetarian.
God. They act so put out when she says vegetarian. They're like, well, you can have a salad. She's like, yeah, that's fine. I'll eat a goddamn salad. Like, okay, give her the lettuce.
So this is my question, because particularly in these early scenes, before we see Maya on her cell phone, the film has a certain timelessness to it. Did you wonder for a second whether this was going to be a secret period piece of sorts? Because the fixation on marriage and then also vegetarianism to me felt very early 2000s, city folk versus rural horror.
That's kind of how correct me if I'm wrong, though. Is this not set, at least in the early to mid 2000s?
Her cell phone is very contemporary, so I think it's meant to be right now.
Okay, I missed that thing, because there were other cell phones where I was like, that's an old cell phone.
Okay. Yeah, when she FaceTimes her friend, I thought, okay, we didn't have the capacity to do that until, I want to say, about 5 years ago. Okay,
so it's contemporary. Yeah, because there's definitely a flip phone that they're using at some point that I was like, that's Final Destination 5 alarm is going off.
Right, yeah, exactly that, which again, I think would have been a bit of a welcome subversion to the people who aren't vibing or gelling with this film. But the reality is that I think this is just meant to be, ooh, you get off the highway in Oregon and you could be going back 2 decades.
I love that it's Oregon too, and not like, I guess West Virginia would be too wrong turny.
It's a little too on the nose, isn't it? I mean, it's not like we get into this diner and it's a bunch of fucking country bumpkins or anything. Like, we're not hitting the line that hard. And I think it's important that we do have, who is it? Is it Shelley or Eden that is like more open-minded? I think it's Shelley. Shelley is their waitress.
I think it's Shelley, but because is Eden not the one that also has like a boyfriend kind of with her?
Yes, and they seem like dicks.
Yeah, but they were kind of nice to him a little bit, I think.
They're later. They're nice later. But It feels like right now, these two walk into the diner and it's all eyes on them. Who are the new people? And of course, we're also seeing the missing poster for the Jeff guy.
100%. Well, and that's the thing, too, is like, we're getting these introductions to these characters that don't matter in this movie. Like, we will see them once more, but this reeks of they're going to be important later.
Yes, yeah. So my money is that Shelley is in on it because she's killing them with kindness in an effort to be like, okay, well, I can get in with these folks later if I need to.
But is it her or Eden that suggests the Airbnb to them?
I think it's Shelley who drives them, and I don't remember who recommends it.
Well, nevertheless, it's one of these girls. Which again, I was kind of like, okay, like you must be in on it.
I mean, I definitely think Carol, the diner owner, is in on it, and then the likelihood with Richard Brake is that he's got a face that says villain. So
just because it's Richard Brake, I thought the exact same thing.
But here's the thing. In hindsight, I had all these thoughts about, okay, so we're probably going to bring all these people back because you don't cast these, you don't spend this time. Like, really, you could have done the scene very differently if you weren't trying to lay these little breadcrumbs. But why do we then have this poster for this missing dude up there? Like, who are we trying to fool if everyone in town is in on it?
And that's the thing, Joe. Okay, like, why are we laying these breadcrumbs if we're not going to pay it off? And that's the thing where I'm like, I don't even feel like I can give this movie a proper rating because I haven't seen Act 2 and Act 3 of this 3-act, 4.5-hour movie.
Yeah. And here's the thing, folks. So we knew that there were always going to be 3 films. We didn't know that they had been written as one giant 450-page screenplay and then broken up into 3.
Yeah.
So I feel like we knew that the story was obviously going to be connected, but apart from the fact that there were 3 parts, the only other thing we really knew was that Madeline Pesh survives all 3, because I don't know why the fuck everyone was talking about it in interviews, but they said, oh yeah, she has this 3-arc journey. I was like, what are we doing?
But that's what I'm saying, though, is again, it's just like, I'll say it for the 500th time in this recording. Like, it's just like, I'm only watching a third of a movie here.
Yeah, it just happens to be 90 minutes.
But that does change how you watch it again, because it wasn't like a Scream thing, where Kevin Williams said, oh yeah, I'm writing Scream, but I have this treatment for Scream 2 and 3, because if we can make them. But Scream wasn't written as one long ass movie that we're just watching the first part of. This was, so because of that, we have to consume this a little bit differently while we don't have chapters 2 and 3 in existence yet.
Yeah, which is why I'm so...
I know, I get it.
I'm perplexed by the reaction that this has gotten from people, because they want to act like, oh, well, this is a standalone film. And I get it. We all had to go and just watch this in isolation. And as a standalone film, I think we can be highly critical of it. But I'm watching it knowing the whole time, okay, Maya's going to survive this encounter because she's got 2 more fucking movies to go through.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to get mad at all of this stuff.
Yet.
I reserve the right to get mad later.
Absolutely. And that's totally fine. When we cover chapter 3, which we obviously will be doing at some point, like, we'll be able to revisit this one and be like, okay, well, how does this hold up in comparison?
Right.
Maybe it's going to be different when we're like, it's only like the first 90 minutes of a 4.5-hour movie, so you know what, it's fine.
This week's episode is sponsored by Bleecker Street and LD Entertainment's new horror film, Bone Lake. When 2 unsuspecting couples double book a secluded lakeside estate, what begins as a romantic getaway quickly spirals into blood-soaked mayhem. Deadly secrets, brutal betrayals, and fatal desires rise to the surface as the night plunges into a fever dream of gore, camp, and erotic terror. In what Bloody Disgusting calls a goddamn blast from start to finish, comes a film that rises above its genre conventions, twisting them on their heads in a deviously playful way. Drenched in style, splattered in blood, and unapologetically unhinged, Bone Lake is the sexiest, scariest party of the year, and you're invited. Experience Bone Lake exclusively in theaters October 3rd. Tickets are on sale now.
Okay, so we have this diner experience. Yes, we learn that they're not married. Everyone is a ghost. And then we go out and we try to start the car, and the car doesn't work. And I'm curious, Trace, do you think that this is sabotage, or is this just, oh yeah, okay, the explanation of we nearly got into a car accident, fucked up our car?
100% sabotage.
You think so?
I think so. This is when I was like, oh, wow, we're really doing wrong turn here. But, you know, like, that's totally fine. Granted, if I'm wrong and none of these townsfolk are involved in this, like...
Oh my God, can you imagine?
Which, you know what, though? That would be really funny.
No, it wouldn't. It would be so frustrating.
It would be frustrating. But, you know what? They have to find a good explanation for that. But nevertheless, this reeks of y'all are unmarried and you're a vegetarian. So we're going to make sure you go stay at this Airbnb tonight.
Which for me, around this point, when the car didn't start and everybody goes, ugh, of course it doesn't start, it was giving Texas Chainsaw Massacre the remake.
I could see that. And we at least have this kind of fight between Maya and Ryan because he's immediately like, y'all fucked up my car. And she's the nice one that's like, don't anger the locals, sweetie. Thank you. Please fix our car.
Yeah, and to me, this was an interesting source of conflict within the couple. You know, it seems clear to me that she is more often taking charge, making decisions. I think she's the leader of the two, but she also can read this situation properly. But it's really unique to have a woman who's saying, I'm reading the room. I'm recognizing that there's potential danger. This is how we have to socially navigate this so that we can get the fuck out of here later.
Well, that's also a woman who's been a woman alone at night in a city or a small town, whereas this guy's like, come on, y'all. What are you going to do to me? You're about to find out.
Well, we say this, but okay. So we end up going to this cabin, which we learn is an off-season Airbnb when Joe is not using it. So you're like, okay, well, I'm just going to wait for Joe to show up later and probably get murdered. But we go into this cabin and I immediately thought, okay, it's going to be a shithole. We're going to have a city person freak out because it's not clean. And it's not. It's actually quite charming. You know, it's very cozy. It's very cottagey. But these two don't even look around. Like, I wish we had a better understanding of the geographical layout of this because we spend most of our time on the ground floor. Like, they don't even search the upstairs to make sure that there's nothing in a closet or a bedroom. And I was just like, wait. So we're killing the locals with kindness, but we're not even exploring our surroundings where we're now suddenly staying the night.
Yeah, that's a valid point. As you said that, I was like, I've never done that before. Like, absolutely not. But I guess, yes, given the situation they were just in, it would make sense for them to want to do that.
And instead, it's like, oh, it's our anniversary. Let's get down to fucking.
Yeah, which, you know what? Good for them. But it doesn't happen. We don't have sex in this movie because, although they are horny, not for lack of trying.
I mean, they're horny, but also, you're not even going to give me Froy Gutierrez shirtless in this movie. He doesn't even take off his top, Trace.
Yeah, well, Rennie Harlan's not gay, so he doesn't care about that. But hey, on the flip side, we don't get titties either.
No, Pesh was never going to show tits. Come on. She's classy. This isn't the 80s.
They get interrupted by our first banging at the door. This is not a knock.
No, we are aggressively looking for Tamara in this movie. Question for you. Would you have preferred we selected a different name?
No, I don't care about that.
You don't care?
No.
I saw so many people who were complaining, oh, we couldn't even pick a new name.
I mean, it's a remake. Like...
Well, okay, so not to continue cycling back to this, but were you perplexed by the number of reviews that were like, I can't figure out when this is supposed to be set. Is this a remake? Oh. Is this a prequel? What is going on?
I saw so many prequel things, but it's because, I think it's because the trailer for the movie was like, learn how the strangers became the strangers. And I was like, well, we don't learn that in this movie. So.
No. Unless that's your 3-movie poster tagline, then maybe.
Then I kept seeing people like, at least we get to know where Tamara came from. And I was like, I guess those were all jokes because we don't get to know where Tamara came from.
Were these people watching the same movie as us?
I think they were all just making jokes about it, but I was like, okay, whatever. Like, again, this to me is just a mid-tier Platinum Dunes remake. It's fine.
Everybody needs to calm their tits a little bit.
But yeah, so is Tamara there? No. Oh my God. Like, leave.
I thought the framing of this was interesting because we have gently unscrewed the light bulb to make sure that this girl stays in the darkness, but Harlan shoots it so that it's really just the top part of her face that is in darkness. And I quite liked it.
Yeah, I mean, and the twist of the light bulb is a carryover from the original film, but I do think this is, I agree. It's also a little bit more of a blue hue. I could also see people maybe being bothered because this does have a sleekness to it, whereas the original film kind of, I mean, it looked grainy because it was like, I want to say it was even shot on 16 millimeter maybe, but this has a sleekness that I know people hate when movies get remade.
Well, yeah, we're in classic territory, right? The original is harkening back to something like the 70s or the 80s with the grain and the lack of polish. And then the remake suddenly looks like, oh, wow, we put a blue filter on it and everything looks model gorgeous.
Okay, but I'm going to tell you right now that one thing I actually was quite impressed with was the woods setting that takes up most of the climax of the film. It looked almost like it belonged in Sleepy Hollow.
Yeah, no, I think the woods are actually very creepy, and I'm going to give some of that credit to Slovakia because I think the woods just look a little bit more threatening than what we would get if we were actually shooting in Oregon.
They were also a little Evil Dead-y too, which I really, I mean, I love the production design of like this setting, so I thought that was all really good.
Yeah, I mean, I like your Evil Dead reference because I immediately thought, oh, you know, we're not just doing an Airbnb in a deserted part of town, which would have been a bit more of an obvious ploy for the remake. So I kind of like that it was, oh, we're taking you to a cabin in the woods where you know bad shit happens.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But it's giving Evil Dead is what I'm trying to suggest.
For sure. Yeah, it's Evil Dead, but again, like the way the trees, they looked almost fake in a way where I was like, this looks like the woods from Sleepy Hollow. Like someone from Tim Burton's camp came over here and did these, but maybe they're all real. I don't know.
I imagine they're real, but they're just shot stylistically.
Yeah. It's, again, I think it looks good.
Yeah. Okay, so after Tamara is not home, we do realize that Ryan has left his inhaler. It must be in the car back in town, and he apparently has bad enough asthma that he does not want to risk it. So he says, well, I'm hungry, you're hungry. Why don't I also grab us some food? I'm going to take this motorcycle back into town, and you can be a woman in danger and take a shower in a strange place.
Yeah. I saw a lot of reviews complaining about how boring the first chunk of this movie is before, like, you know, we actually, like, they learn that there's people after them, and I'm kind of like...
This is table setting. What are you talking about?
Par for the course table setting. Like, it's fine. I like that he gets to interact with the townspeople again at this burger joint, which I guess is the only burger joint in town.
Well, I like that the diner is not open right now, or he decides, you know what, I've already had enough weird encounters with the locals. I'm going to try this other spot. And yeah, so we get to see Eden, some of the other quote unquote late 20-somethings that live in this town. And they're, I don't want to say gruff, but they're not unfriendly. Like, I could see some of these people coming back and being potential allies or victims in Chapter 2.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. Again, that's the thing. I'm excited to see what happens, because now that we have this setup that we all like knew was going to be out of the way, like, where is this going to go?
So we should also note that Maya takes the opportunity to FaceTime her rich friend Debbie, who is like on vacation in Europe. And I 100% think that we're going to see Rachel Shenton come back for Chapter 2. Like, I'm guaranteeing she's going to swing by the hospital to drive Maya home or something like that.
Yeah.
But I thought that this was an interesting way to connote, yes, this is a relatively modern film. And then we move into the, okay, I'm hanging up on you. I'm going to do the shower. And of course, strange things start to happen.
Yeah, and I think all this is mostly fine, because this is when we get the kind of the repeat of that scene with Liv Tyler in the kitchen. Like, this is all fun for me. I'm kind of like, cool, let's see what we do, because obviously, what's going to happen? Okay, someone's going to be in the house. She's going to get stopped, but we're not going to be killing her yet. So let's just hop along for the ride and go with the camera.
Yeah, it's a little bit of the usual bait and scare tactics. I thought that this was all effective, and then eventually the lights go out. We have to find the fuse box, and that's where we get one of the two women. I know that the masks haven't changed dramatically, but I had a huge problem differentiating between Dollface and Pinup Girl.
Yeah, I think the big issue is because Pinup Dollface in the other films had long blonde hair, but in this film, both of the girls have their heads in like, they
have the hair up, don't they?
The hair up, yes.
Yeah.
So basically the pinup girl has hair on the mask itself, like it's part of the mask. Dollface doesn't have any hair on the mask.
Okay, so I think this is Dollface who's hiding in the closet.
I thought it was pinup.
Okay, you know what? I have no fucking idea.
It's fine. One of them is in this closet, and she turns the light on, and she gets scared and runs away. But Ryan's made it home, and there's no one in the closet anymore.
Yeah. This was a little bit annoying, if only because, to me, these are the two instances of characters making stupid decisions that I didn't fully love. So her idea that, my boyfriend's gone for food, I'm going to take a shower in a strange place. I mean, sure, she has checked to make sure that the doors are locked and all that kind of jazz, but it still felt a little bit... Would a woman do this?
He gaslights her a little bit. He's like, honey, you must have been looking at this painting over here that's completely on the opposite side of the room where you were looking. There's no one here.
Yeah.
This is one of those things that I was kind of like, no, she very clearly saw someone in this closet.
Like, this is bad boyfriend behavior. I didn't mind it when he said, well, have you been smoking? I mean, you've also been drinking.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, the fucking painting was laugh out loud ridiculous. And it felt very out of character for him because he seems like the kind of guy who's going to say, oh, my girlfriend who is usually very in control is telling me something. I'm going to believe her.
It did. Honestly, what would have made this kind of more fun is if there was actually like a pinup girl poster above the circuit breaker box. And it's like, oh, you saw a pinup girl? Honey, look at this pinup girl. That's Betty Page.
Yes. Random cottages in Oregon. Betty Page pinups.
This was a little bit of a thing where I'm like, ugh, okay, idiots, whatever. Like, let's move
It's
along.
more like, okay, cool, we're going to do this. Well, now I want to see some action because I want this guy to get his.
Absolutely.
Okay, so he's back with food. We're eating. I do think it's a little bit weird. I mean, I have known a lot of half and half vegetarian couples where one will continue to eat meat and the other one is like, no, get that away from me. But the glee that he seems to take in constantly eating meat around his girlfriend, like he is wearing this all over his face and then he tries to get her to give him a kiss. I was just like, she's a vegetarian. She doesn't want to go anywhere near your meat-eating mouth.
Oh, I see. I was just like, oh, y'all are obnoxious. Like, just eat the fucking burger.
I mean, they're cute. They are cute together.
This is just me putting my own relationship standards on another couple, but I'm just like, oh my God, like, shut up.
You too. Ugh. Okay, so what do you think about the fact that we've got this ketchup to blood fake out?
It's fine. Like, I think it's telegraphed just because of how many close-up shots we get of this ketchup mixture like spilling out.
Yes.
But it's fine. Did this work for you?
No, it's also fine for me, if only because it was too anticipated. I mean, the reveal that, we've taken the time to hang a fucking chicken so that it's dripping blood very specifically onto the kitchen table was just like, whoa, the strangers are not fucking around with their preparedness for this plot. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a good way of saying, oh, Molly, you are in danger, girl, because this obviously sets off Ryan and Maya. Like, no, we're not imagining a chicken hanging from the roof.
Yeah. But it also confirms to them that, oh, someone's been inside this house.
Yes. Yeah. And then we're kind of into the thick of it, right? Because this is when Scarecrow starts to break in and we're locking ourselves in the bedroom and the axe is coming through the door.
Yeah, I think all this is very fun. I'm a sucker for, someone's head up against the door and then all of a sudden an axe comes through right next to it. That even might be a holdover from the original film. I couldn't remember, but that's fun. That got to jump out of me.
Yeah, no, I thought this part was good. And I like the fact that we're hiding. We have no weapons. We're just crying and very upset, and then we go back to quiet and they have to decide, do we leave this room? What should we do? Because these are the moments of home invasion films that I really appreciate, because I put myself in that situation and think, like, I'm looking around my bedroom right now. I have no fucking weapons. Would I just barricade myself in and wait for daylight?
Oh yeah. Like, honestly, like, from here on out, any decisions the characters make, like, they
it's
don't
a free
bother.
for all.
Yeah, I don't
They're
care.
forgiven.
Like, whatever. Yeah, exactly.
So they do decide to make a break for it. There's nobody in the house, but the door is completely fucked. So like they're not going to be able to barricade this and just wait. So we say, okay, well, what about the motorcycle? The two of us can get on it. We'll get back to town. And then we walk out and this thing just goes boom.
I do love that the Scarecrow was just standing right there with his gas tank and is like, yep, that was me.
I knew you were going to do this, so I took it out. And now you can't use it anymore.
So then we have to go back inside. So I love that we're going in and out, in and out, in and out. That's always fun.
Yeah. And of course, this is not a big cabin, so there's nowhere really to hide. So we do go to the bathroom, but the strangers are fully into the house now. We don't get to see much because we're very much staying with Ryan and Maya's perspective, which I appreciate.
I think that's really important, actually. I like that we're not seeing these people. I mean, we'll see them in a bit, when they're kind of like listening when they're under the crawl space. But I don't need to know where the killers are because that makes it scarier.
Like, I gotta say, I'm still very invested in the film. Like, this was probably somewhere between a 3.5 and a 4 at this point in the film, because I thought, okay, it's not super original, but there's enough differences and it's well executed enough that I'm having a good time.
Sure.
So we do decide, okay, we need to go through these vents, these giant adult-sized vents that are going to accommodate adult bodies, and we go under the house. And I like this set piece a lot. I thought it was very effective.
I think this is the best set piece in the film.
Okay.
Because it's its own thing. Like, this is not a holdover from either the first or second film. And I do think it's well done. I mean, again, like, I like the emphasis on silence here. Although Madeline Pesh, even before that nail goes through, I'm just kind of like, girl, breathe quieter.
She is awfully loud, but I will say she's very captivating. Like, she exudes fear very convincingly, but I think she also holds her own, even though I know that in reality she's, I want to say, maybe 5 feet tall. She's a tiny girl.
I haven't watched Riverdale since season 3, so I don't remember.
Yeah.
She was the best part of it, though.
This is true. Yeah. So I like the nail in the hand. I like him trying to keep her silent and her trying to not scream.
Yes. Were you expecting, because this is Pinup Girl that is coming and standing over them when she thinks she hears them. Were you expecting maybe an axe coming through the floor, or did you think they were going to get out of this crawl space?
So I thought we were going to do the pray at night tunnel pipe thing.
Oh, like someone's down there already.
So I was actually surprised when nobody ends up appearing under this crawl space with them.
Yeah. And again, that's some restraint that I appreciate. So yeah, this to me was the most suspenseful part. I do kind of think the later set piece we'll get with Maya hiding like under the leaves is okay. I think that's pretty good.
I think it had a lot of potential, and I wanted things to go just a little further.
Yeah, I agree with that. But again, I think the setup for it is good. It's just like it doesn't fully pay off for me.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you the moment that the film gently lost me, and I started to go, okay, fine, I guess. So we make it out of this crawl space, and we don't see anybody, but there's a shed in the distance. So we decide we're going to hoof it over there, see if we can get a weapon. Maybe there's a gun. Spoiler alert, there's a shotgun. Ryan trips on nothing and twists his ankle.
This was
and
camp.
This is when I turned on the film.
This was camp. I was like, of course. Fucking asthmatic guy also trips and twists his ankle.
I was so mad. I was just like, are you fucking kidding me with this? We can't come up with enough cleverness to keep this tight. So instead, we have to, hamper one of our two protagonists and arguably the quote unquote stronger of the two. I was just like, fuck off.
Well, and I think the idea is, we already maimed her with this nail, so she can't, grab things without getting a staph infection. But,
I'm sorry, a staph infection?
I'm sorry, tetanus.
I was like, where did that nail stab her? In the cooch?
I'm thinking, no, staph can happen, all over your body.
Okay. I thought it was, an internal thing. I thought it was, a throat and...
Yeah, but it can happen anyway. You can get a staph infection on your arm. I think, it's fine. I'll look it up later.
Okay. You know what? Patrons, let us know.
Let us know about staph infections, please.
Clearly, we don't know.
Now, again, another jump scare that got me. This, they're hiding in the shed. She's up against the window. I know it's coming. I know one of these fuckers is about to bust through this window and grab her.
This is the best one in the movie. This one is really effective.
It works, and I jumped.
Yeah, I think the reason it's so effective is because we see it, we know it's coming, we wait longer, and we think, oh, they're not. Oh, fuck, they just did him.
Well, because it's also like, doesn't she also press up against more of the window because one of the girls makes their way inside the shed too, and so she backs up, and that's when Scarecrow grabs her.
Yes, just that.
Okay, yeah, I thought this was good.
So Ryan is actually in another room collecting a gun, so he ends up coming out, and he takes a shot at one of them, but doesn't work. And I think in part because Maya's also being grabbed at this point. So it's like, I'm not going to shoot you because my girlfriend is getting dragged out a window. So he comes and tries to help her instead.
Yeah, for sure. Which is, okay, that's fine. So they escape and they get a 1-up. So we're like, cool, they're going to be fine. Maybe.
Well, yeah, because we've not talked about this. Even though they're staying in this cottage only overnight and they didn't have any food, Maya called Joe, the owner, because the fridge wasn't working properly, which makes sense because he doesn't think anybody's going to be there. So why would the fridge work anyway?
Well, I mean, unless we're to believe, because how long do you think this movie takes place after the opening scene?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah,
because I'm assuming this guy was also staying at the Airbnb.
Right. Yes, you are correct. I believe it's been at least a couple of weeks because we printed the flyer and I think it says how long he's been gone for. It's not a short period of time, but it's also not like a year later.
Nevertheless, I'm not going to gripe about fucking refrigerators.
I think it's just more, hey, you're only there overnight. You really didn't have any food except the food that you were probably going to buy and consume. So I just don't buy that she would have called and said, I need a fridge working ASAP.
I know. So they don't walk around the entire house to make sure it's all good. But as soon as they notice that fridge is out, she's like, okay, I'm going to call him right. He's going to come right now and fix this for us.
It was very weird to me. Just the decision of the fridge. I would have believed it if Cohen and Friedland had have opted for, one of the toilets is leaking or something, because that's going to impact your ability to use an appliance. A fridge, I'm like, I ain't got no food. I don't need to use that. It's fine.
You just went and picked up a fucking burger. It's totally fine. But again, that's a laziness of the script, because the only reason this exists is so we can get someone to come to the house later that we can accidentally kill thinking they're a killer. And I confess, I would have been totally fine if this was just not in the movie.
No, 100%, because this adds nothing to my enjoyment. This is, yes, a kill in a horror film, but we all know from jump that this is not one of the strangers and that we're just accidentally killing somebody.
Well, and again, this is to me the most egregious, we're just aping the first movie. Ape the first movie if it pays off, but this doesn't pay off. I would argue it also works in the first movie because it was their friend coming to help them. And there's a tragedy to that. This is just some rando that we don't know.
Yeah, and I appreciate that Maya and Ryan are still very upset because they're not killers. The only reason that they're even trying to act in self-defense is because they were threatened with axes first.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that they would be upset, but you're right. It's a stranger and they thought that this person was trying to murder them.
Well, and that's the thing too. He's knocking on the door and he's not going, hello, fridge guy here.
Exactly. It's Joe. You called about your fridge.
Yeah.
Is it still running? Oh, you better hurry up and catch it.
Yeah. But I mean, in terms of the shooting thing, him jumping out and shooting, honest, I've never shot a gun in my life. I would be the exact same way. I would not want to be the person holding the gun because I would 100% accidentally shoot someone.
Oh, yeah. Whenever this happens in movies, I know it's not your favorite. You really don't like it when the wrong person accidentally gets killed. But I see this as probably happening more often. I mean, even when you look at gun death statistics, it's a lot of people getting accidentally shot in their house by their spouses or their children.
Yeah. But again, if this didn't exist in the first movie in a much better way, this wouldn't bother me as much. I'd be like, it's a stupid way to kill someone off, whatever. But because we clearly only included this because it's in the original film, but we don't need this. We don't need this. It doesn't help or hurt their situation in any shape, way, or form. It changes nothing about the movie except that they're sad they killed an innocent person.
Yeah, and we don't really even have time to linger on it because we got a fucking motor. So I agree with you wholeheartedly. This is one of those things where I think, give us the 2 minutes back. It doesn't ultimately impact anything.
Absolutely. And it doesn't even build that much suspense either.
No. Or just do it differently. Like, if you really feel like you must kill an innocent person, do it in a way that isn't so wholly predictable.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so very sad. Stranger is dead, but also, look, he left a truck for us to try to get away in. So we climb in this truck and we start to take off, but of course, Scarecrow is ramming us. And I thought, oh, wow, this is 100% Prey at Night. This is not the original Strangers.
It's 50% of both, because I don't know if you remember, but in the original film, they get into a truck. It might be Dennis's truck, actually. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, Dennis. It's Glenn Howerton's truck. Y'all know what I mean by Dennis. But instead of getting T-boned, pinup girl or Dollface rear ends them to total the truck.
Yeah, I saw this more as a Prey at Night because it's a truck ramming another truck into something, and then Ryan actually gets pinned, and this is very similar to what happens to Josh Henderson. Yeah,
that makes sense. Except he doesn't die here. But yeah, I will accept that then. I will accept that as a Prey at Night homage. But again, this is the jump scare where I spilled my wine.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, again, I think that this is shot pretty well. I was a little annoyed that we've got that gun and we are not just immediately turning, pointing, shooting. But I guess you could argue because of what just happened, they're a little reticent to just immediately go for the gun.
So you know what? That is why that scene exists. It exists to make him more hesitant to just pull the trigger. However, I would argue, when you see the person with the mask and you literally have the gun 2 inches away from their head, just shoot him. You're probably fine.
Pull that trigger, baby. Pull that trigger.
It does, yeah. So again, if that's the reason we have them accidentally killing someone, it still doesn't work enough because they have her at gunpoint with the mask on. She's acting antagonistic. Shoot the bitch.
Yeah. It's very frustrating. Yeah, because we've got this part in the car, and then Maya makes a run for it. Ryan eventually gets out. We're separated in the woods. So this is the sequence where, this is how we know how long Jeff has been missing for, because he is maggoty. Like, he is well on his way to decomposing.
Oh, that's supposed to be Jeff? I thought that was just, that's one body of probably many in this place.
Okay. I default just assumed because we had seen somebody down in these woods earlier that it was the same person.
Yeah, and we only see one body. We don't see like a bunch of bodies, I guess, but...
Maybe in chapter 2.
I know. We're going to go back to this house. Just going to fall through a pit. It's going to be just like a mass grave.
I mean, I thought that's what we were doing. I thought that this is where we're dumping the bodies. So again, as enjoyable as it is to see her, disappear Homer Simpson style into the hedge / into these leaves, I guess it feels like we do this fun part and there's a tease, is she going to get noticed by one of the women? And it just comes to nothing. Later, we just see her out and she's just trailing leaves behind her.
And the way this is filmed, I think, is actually okay. I like the overhead shots we get because I think there are times where you do actually lose Maya's face in the leaves when we're kind of that far away. So you can see, it is kind of easy to miss her, even though when we're on her level, it's like she's just lying in the leaves, like right there. It's totally fine.
Get your face down. What the fuck are we doing?
And if you want to talk about Madeline Pesch's loud breathing, this scene, I was like, she is right there. Like,
she's
shut
hyperventilating.
the fuck up. But nevertheless, I guess, okay, so, we're talking about earlier how this doesn't have much of a payoff to it, but I do like, because the girl stranger, whether it's pinup girl or whoever the fuck.
Can't tell. Yeah.
We get her, she looks around, oh my God, is she going to get noticed? She walks away. But then we have another moment like that where there's no one looking at her. So I guess that's the idea, is like, okay, are they still there? Are they not? Yeah. We showed you they were there. They could still be 2 feet away. We don't know. So I guess that adds to the suspense of this scene. So I do like that. I just wish, I do wish there was more of a payoff outside of, there's a body next to you.
Yeah, because the body itself is not particularly scary. I mean, in real life, it would be fucking terrifying, but this is a horror film and we kind of knew that something scary was going to happen. So a maggoty body is not the be-all, end-all of scares.
Yeah, no, not at all. I mean, the best scare has already happened.
Right, yeah. So while she's doing this, we've got the other girl getting discovered by Ryan. So he does have his brief asthma attack. He fixes it with a plastic bottle. I think this is supposed to be very scary because he has to crush it up and it's making so much noise as he uses it as a de facto inhaler. There we go. And it's fine, but it also feels like, so we did all of that with the inhaler, and then he doesn't even end up needing, he doesn't even end up using the inhaler.
Because it almost feels like a comedy bit where he's like, slowly trying to crinkle the water bottle, and I was like, this was like something I'd see in a cartoon show, but it's fine.
It is very silly, yeah.
It's silly, but it's silly in a way that I don't mind. Like, it's sillily suspenseful.
Okay. So, yes, he has managed to calm himself down so that he's not going to die from this asthma attack, and he's still got the gun. And then we've got this dumbass sequence where he comes on one of the women and he wants to know where Maya is, and he's being so fucking loud. And of course, one of the other ones just runs up behind him and knocks him out. And I was like, yeah, you're dumb.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's just par for the course with these characters, right?
It was more... This is where I was hoping, because at this point, you're relatively sure that the film is coming to an end, right? Like, we're going to go into a climax of sorts. And I thought, how subversive would it be if he just blows her fucking head off? And then we're down to two strangers.
Well, and that's what happens in Strangers Prey at Night, right? Because we don't expect them to get killed. It just takes so long for him to decide to do anything. And then that leads to him getting caught. So, yeah, this was very much
This one didn't work for me.
Yeah, it didn't really work for me, but...
It just doesn't build up to enough. It felt like we were going to get big forest set pieces, and they're okay. Just doesn't feel like either one of them pays off enough.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Well, and that's kind of the thing, though. Like, the rest of this movie is really, we're just redoing the end of the first movie.
Yeah, it's very beat for beat, because we 100% open back up. It's nearly daylight. We are strapped to chairs. I like the framing where we're almost at Ryan and Maya's height as they're sitting on these chairs, so we can't actually see the strangers' faces. I like that it isn't the tease of, ooh, they've taken the mask off so we could see their faces, but we're not seeing them. It's like, no, we've left the mask on because we've got 2 more movies.
What do we think of? Why are you doing this? Because you're here.
I mean, this was in the trailer, so I knew not to be annoyed by this because it had already come out. But yeah, could we have chosen anything different? Anything better?
As much as I like Prey at Night, that's also like a callback to the original that is really bad. Which is like, why are you doing this? And the response is, why not? Like, at this point, I just think we need to recycle that part of it because...
I think we need to retire it and just not even bring it back.
Oh my God. Recycle. Oh my God. What I meant retire. Yes,
okay.
I'm sorry. I meant retire.
I was like, baby, we are recycling.
Yes. No, I'm sorry. We are recycling it poorly. But it's also, okay. But the other thing with that is, though, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. I guess because you're here. Yes, they're doing it because they're here. But like, there's clearly a motive behind all of this. Like, this is not we're just doing this for the fun of it type scenario.
Right. And that comes out in interviews that Harlan has done in the press junkets, right? Where he said, one of the new scary things is Airbnb horror. This idea that you're renting a house from someone you don't know in a place you don't know and anything could happen. And I was like, yes, we've been getting that for the last couple of years. But if that is a motivation, that's fine. But that isn't a really interesting way to take the strangers. I chose personally to read this more as because you came to this small Oregon town. And it's like, we're all going to be in on this. Like, there's 3 of us doing these murders right now, but it's because you stumbled into our murder town. And that's why we're doing it.
I actually, because we're getting 2 more of these, what I think would have been really cool is just like, why are you doing this? And they leaned in and just go, you'll see. And then, like, back away. Wouldn't that be cool? I think I guess that would imply that they know they're not going to kill her, which is not what happens here because they only leave because the cops come. But that, to me, would have been kind of a cool, like, ooh, what does that mean? What are they going to do?
But it is interesting, right? So we've got the 2 of them lined up. Obviously, this is supposed to be emotionally devastating because we do the fake wedding ceremony because he actually was going to propose to her. So we go through the whole charade. And then Ryan has been stabbed at this point and he just dies. I don't know why we're kicking over chairs. It seems like, when the chair falls over, that means you're dead.
I thought the exact same thing. I was like, wow, he's hemorrhaging like once he gets kicked over because he starts like throwing out blood like, everyone does in movies when they're dying. I just thought that was really funny. But then it doesn't happen to her.
No. But we do kick her chair over after stabbing her.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Yeah, it was weird. I mean, I guess... people are going to die at different rates. And yes, he did get stabbed first, but it's like we stab them in the exact same way. We knock over the chairs in the exact same way. But apparently she had the will to live because she manages to survive.
Yeah, that's what happens in the original film.
Sure.
It's fine. But instead of getting these two boys, which that's the other thing too, because we have the two like Mormon or Jehovah's Witness boys come in the beginning of this film, and they're giving off creepy ass vibes.
Yes. Okay. So I knew we would circle back to them because we didn't talk about it when we first got into the town portion, but I think it would be very exciting if we do broaden the scope of this to say, okay, Maya comes back in number 2. She's investigating. There's weird shit going on all over this town. It's Silent Hill meets Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but it suddenly turns into religious fanaticism horror. Like it's all stemming from culty vibes. You know, we got to go to the cottage out in the woods and where we make sacrifices or something.
Man, I didn't even think about like culty religious shit as a possibility. I don't know if that's where I want it to go, but I do want it to be something that's not just it's this town that doesn't like city outsiders, you know. I don't want it to be just that.
Right. We want something that's different than just rural horror. Because honestly, really that's what we've gotten in this film.
If we turn this into a creature feature and there's some kind of like pig god that's killing people that they're worshiping, like I'd be here for it.
Wait, it's the ritual? Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, it's the ritual. There you go.
Okay. So we end with this coda, where Maya is in the hospital and we get another fake out and it's whatever, it's fine. But I don't know. So this leads us into, I guess, our final thoughts where we do think the sequel could potentially go. What are your hopes?
Correct me if I'm wrong, because it's only a mid-credits. Because I didn't stay to the end of the credits.
It's just mid-credits.
Yeah, so the mid-credits where it's like, the Scarecrow's in bed with her, which I was like...
No, it's not. Whatever.
That because I kept expecting, like an actual tease for Chapter 2, and that wasn't what that was.
Yeah, I think it's a missed opportunity because we technically know that Harlan is already done too. So it's ready to go. Like we're just waiting for the fall to release this. Why wouldn't you have put a teaser of the second film and or a full-blown trailer?
That's what I thought too. It doesn't make any sense.
Because you're telling us like to be continued or like end chapter 1 or something. We all know that there's 2 more parts. So give us something, like tease us with something to keep the excitement.
Yeah, but this is just like just a lazy jump scare, right?
Yeah, and honestly, it's Pray at Night again.
Yeah, it is. Except worse, because in Pray at Night, we actually don't see Scarecrow Man. It's just like, is he down the hall? Is he there, you know?
So I guess, what do you think? Like, what would you ideally like to see in Chapter 2?
I don't even have an answer to that question. I'm just mostly excited for it because I know we're definitely 100% going into fresh, unexplored territory in a sequel.
Yeah, like the worst case scenario is that Debbie shows up, she and Maya end up going back to this cottage, and they get trapped there and the strangers attack them again. That is my nightmare scenario. Because then it's just exactly the same.
Well, if it's like Madeleine Pesch is like not in the movie until the very end when she comes to save the day.
Well, yeah, because are we anticipating there's going to be a significant time jump? I mean, she got fucking stabbed in the gut. It's not like you can just walk out of the hospital and battle the strangers again.
I kind of hope it's not a time jump. I kind of hope we're picking up right where this one leaves off. So she's still in the hospital, and then she's ripping those IVs out of her arms and like, I'm going to go take care of some business.
Oh my God. So you want Halloween kills is what you're telling me.
No.
The strangers die tonight. The strangers die tonight.
So do you think that Chapter 2 is going to be another home invasion film? Or are we going to maybe switch subgenres with these films?
So that's my hope. I really want this to veer completely into a new direction. So obviously we're keeping the strangers. Obviously we're keeping Maya. We're going to keep these townspeople in some capacity. But I want this to zig completely into a new subgenre or take it in just brand new territory.
That's kind of what I hope too, actually. So I'm hoping for not just another home invasion film, or if we're doing like a Stranger's Pray at Night home invasion, where it's like, it's like in a completely different location, like a trailer park, you know? Fuck, put it in a goddamn amusement park. I'll watch that.
I didn't really get the impression that there was a nearby amusement park in this small town.
No, the traveling fair comes to town.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, yes, it's something wicked this way comes now.
Exactly. But I don't know. I mean, again, it's a thing where it's like, am I excited for chapter 2 and chapter 3? That may be too strong of a word. Am I intrigued by what chapter 2 and 3 are going to be? Absolutely.
Yeah, which is something that I feel like I'm not seeing from people online. And again, you know, we've often talked about how online is not the real world. It's very much, you know, we're yelling into the void of like-minded people. But I am surprised at how many people are coming down on this movie and not acknowledging, oh, well, the second film could completely upend all of this negativity. It could take this franchise in a brand new direction. Like, this is going to happen. So we know we're going to get 2 more of these, and it could be completely new and completely different. So all of the hand-wringing, all of the complaining, all of the people wanting to just shit on this movie, I'm like, you don't know where this is going to go. And I think it's just, I don't know. I'm feeling very generous, not in the way that this is a remake, that this is not a standalone film. Like, if you're just looking at it as a remake of the original Strangers and it's a standalone film, yeah, this film is probably a failure. But as the first film in a trilogy that is guaranteed to happen, that
it's already
has
filmed,
all the possibility to change direction, we got to acknowledge that this could be very, very exciting. I think it's fair to acknowledge that. But again, at the end of the day, we can only review the movie we have on hand. As I've already said, you know, it's hard when I know it's only act 1 of a very long movie. Mm-hmm. But does that then give leeway for me to be like, oh, well, you know what? I don't think it's that good. But because it's only the beginning, it's not the whole thing, I'm going to give it a better review anyway, just because of that, you know? Right. Yeah. Well, I guess that's the 2 perspectives we're bringing. You're the first and I'm the latter. And it's not even that. Like, again, do I think this movie was dogpiled on? Yes. Do I think it's a particularly good movie? Not completely. Yeah. But again, it's fine. It's fine. Like, I will always remember the first one and pray at night before I remember this one. Okay. But again, ask me once I've seen chapter 2 and 3, and I'll be like, oh, yeah, because what can we refer to that as? We'll refer to it as the Stranger Master Edition, where it's all 3 of them put together, right? So maybe chapter 1, I'm like, yeah, it's fine. But the Stranger's Master Edition, I might be like, well, shit, you know, it gets off to kind of a rocky start, but it's really good by the end of it. Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's Fear Street territory, right? Where the first film changes in proximity to the second and third film. And we will find out more as we go. But, like, that's an interesting model, right? Where the first film had a bit of a distinctive style and then we changed it up and it became more of a slasher film in the second one. So we could see that happening here. That is a good point, though, because if you remember, I was kind of on Fear Street 1994. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until after I had seen the other 2 films that I went back and rewatched 1994 and it worked better for me. Right. Yeah. So, but again, though, I mean, like, is that going to happen here? Like, if 2 and 3 are legitimately, like, if I think they're, like, really, really good, is that going to make me think chapter 1 is better in hindsight? Or is it going to maybe make 1 look worse by comparison because 2 and 3 potentially do something, like, new and innovative and fresh and, like, cool, you know? Yeah. What's interesting, and maybe we can end it here because I feel like we're probably just starting to recycle the same ideas, but I think that 2 has the greatest possibility of exciting us because people are a little bit meh on this first one. Yeah. If the second one does anything remotely surprising or innovative, we're probably all going to stand up and take notice. And then with the third one, you've got to land it, right? You've got to bring the trilogy to a satisfying close. So it's harder to nail that one. But I think the second one has the biggest opportunity to be the sweet spot. I think chapter 2 is going to be, that's going to be the real litmus test for me personally. You know, like, if 2 is also just kind of generic and blah about saying it's fine, I'm going to be significantly less excited for chapter 3. Yeah. And guaranteed then we will see the box office gross for that third one. It will be a non-starter. It will be DOA. Yeah. But I do think the second one, I guarantee people are going to come back. Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, talk to us in a couple months, Joe. Mm-hmm. But
That is The Strangers Chapter 1. Let us know your thoughts on this. Are you in the angry mob? Is this a 1-star film for you? Are you with me with the it's fine 2.5? Or are you with the, you know what, I see a lot of potential here side with Joe with the 3.5 ranking?
There we go.
We kind of covered the whole spectrum there.
Yeah, clearly no one can be above 3.5. If you are, what is wrong with you? No, it means you had a great time. Maybe you just had a fantastic experience, in which case we applaud you.
There you go.